And we're back. Just the two of us again. Steve this time has man flu. The joys of gigging at Christmas.
You know what I think? I think that he's making it up. I think, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's very weird that we haven't seen Steve and Santa Claus in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Coincidence?
I don't
I
think
think
so.
he's preparing for Christmas coming up, and he just needed an excuse. So he's like, yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
feeling well.
he's
Oh.
growing out the beard and stopping dyeing the hair. Oops.
There you go.
Get it going. But yeah, it's got the two of us anyway. So we've got three things again to go through that we're going to be going through today. So we might as well get started and get into what's the crack.
So what do you got for us today?
So the first one that we have today is "Magic for Fooling Magicians" is the title. So this caught our attention. There was a cool trick called Brick. Still don't see it's like an Omni deck but with Lego. That came out, and I saw a comment on it on YouTube. So I'm just going to read the comments, just give the context or discussion about it. And it's okay. So it works fine for lay people. It's an old idea, really, but wouldn't the magician immediately know you brought this in? So I found that a weird comment myself because I'm like, who cares? Like it's a trick that's for, especially if tricks for sale. That like who cares if it fools magicians? Like we're not selling fooling. If you want to fool a magician by buying a product, how are you stopping him from also buying the product?
Yeah.
If you want magician foolers, make them up yourself. That's kind of like where my mind went to it. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, there's this I'm gonna blame this on marketing buzzwords. So anytime a new magic product comes out, you got these different buzzwords, right? It's organic, can be borrowed, can be signed, fools magicians, fits right in your pocket, no flaps, no thread, no magnets, right? There's all these like buzzwords that get thrown out there. So now people almost expect when a new product comes out, oh, well, we'll just fool a magician. And it's like, does it need to though? Because
Yeah,
there's two different types of magic that you're doing: magic for the general public or magician foolers, right? And if you're a magician that largely performs for other magicians, chances are you're probably performing your own stuff that you've created yourself to kind of further your point. Like if you want to fool magicians, come up with something that they've never seen before. Um, like a perfect example is like Shutagawa, for example, right? Um, we're all familiar with 8 card brainwave. The one where you have 8 cards, they point to a random card. You set that card down, you show the backs of all of them, they're all red, but then the one that they pointed to is blue, right? And we all know that uses the whole realm subtlety and everything. So I watched Shutagawa perform this at the castle, right? And he does that bit, and all of the laymen are like, oh, wow, that's so cool, right? And the magicians are all like, and then he goes, no, really, you can check everything, and turns everything face down. And all of the cards were red, and there truly was only one blue card. And all of the magicians reacted to that. Holy crap, right? How the hell did you do that? Because we all know how the 8 card brainwave works, and this isn't the 8 card brainwave. You did something different. And so there was two different reactions happening at two different times, and all the laymen were like, why are all the magicians all of a sudden freaking out? Like, he already showed us all the cards were blue, right? And so, yeah, it really just comes down to, are you trying to fool magicians or are you trying to perform for laymen? And it's okay if a piece of magic that you do blows a layman's mind, and it's okay if magicians know how it works. I mean, I'm not a personal fan of the invisible deck. I feel like it's a little overplayed, in my personal opinion, but it's a fan favorite. Like every time I see someone do an invisible deck, the layman's minds are just like completely blown by it. So, for me, I'm like, well, if I was to do an invisible deck for a magician, they'd be like, oh, cool, you're using an invisible deck. And that's it. Like, there's no surprise there, right? But if the laymen love it, why not do it? That's my thoughts on it.
because yeah, like my number one force is the crisscross force, and even if I'm performing like at a magic club or a convention, I'm still going to do my crisscross force because that's how I what I do and what I perform with. I know the magician is going to know what's going on because it's about performing for lay people. Like the marketing buzzwords is a great thing because I think especially for beginner tricks, like you see some of those the illusionist sets that they'd be coming out with, that the street magic ones or things, and it's like will even fool magicians, and like that's targeted at the beginners as like this isn't like the kid set that you can buy in your local toy shop. This is proper magic. So I can get that side of it, but I think it's the situation of I know a lot of people like they might be too shy to go out and perform, and they only perform for their magic friends. That's the only people they show magic to. But it's like it's always a bonus when you can fool a magician, but I don't think it's like the aim really for a lot of
Mhm.
what like especially marketed tricks because again they can just buy the trick themselves so who cares, you know, it's like the secret isn't protected really from anyone, so it is that situation of it's really about performing. Like what I love watching a magician perform, I don't, if they fool me great, but like otherwise it's like I'm like I want to watch their presentation, what are they telling with it, what is the charisma like, what's that sort of stuff. I think that's more interesting and working than going like I'm going to see like if somebody's using a nail writer, I'm going to see the nail writer because we look in the wrong place. We can't be misdirected as easily as other people. It's those sort of situations, but that doesn't mean you don't enjoy the performance because
Mhm.
like we know what's going on. So I think like there is that whole thing of like convention magic and like it's all like at the Ruskin you want to show something that people are like, whoa, that's crazy. But I don't think every trick needs to be that, and especially market. That's not the point of a market effect. It's like some places used to have the workers series that they'd release. And I'd be like, this is like the real worker stuff. But like 99% of the stuff should be workers things that
Mhm.
it's for performing for lay people. And then the magician fooler is the oddity. That's there.
Yeah.
Just get something by Danny D'Ortiz, and then you're you're good to go with that.
Or in many cases, it doesn't even have to fool magicians. You could just impress them,
Yeah.
right? Like again, I'll use Shutagawa as an example. When I first started getting into magic, Shutagawa was sort of the magician that I looked up to, that I really wanted to emulate. I really wanted to be like. I started performing ninja rings. You know, I started doing coin magic. I started doing sleight of hand magic with cards that were way above my skill level.
Bit of
And I
symbol
just really
magic.
wanted to learn those things because I wanted to impress other magicians. The layman didn't really care.
Yeah.
I learned a really difficult coin sleight, 3 coin vanish in production, and I was doing it. And the layman's reaction was just, "Oh, it's really cool how you're able to hide those coins in your hands so well, so I can't see them." And it's like, well, that's
Yeah.
not the reaction that I'm looking for, right? But in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I got to learn these really difficult moves because that's what magicians really appreciate. That's what they want to see, right? I showed this to my magician friends, and their minds were blown because we're like, how the hell are you hiding 3 coins in your hand like that? That's so crazy. And then I go to perform for the layman, and their reactions are the same, but not as excited about it because they're just like, oh, cool, you're hiding the coins in your hands, as
Yeah.
opposed to learning a basic coin sleight that looks very magical, that isn't maybe too difficult to do, a classic palm, and then wait, where the heck did the coin go? Holy crap, how'd you do that, you know? And like, us as magicians, we forget sometimes, like sometimes the basics is all you really need. You don't need all of the flashy stuff that magicians are impressed by, unless your aim is to perform for magicians, in which case, yeah, the Omni deck isn't the best thing to perform for a magician unless you put a twist on it, right? You come up with
Yeah.
some thing that they've never seen before while using it, right?
Because like I have a mix between like I have my hobby of magic and I have my performance. So like there's things that like I'm always practicing like a diagonal palm shift while I'm just sitting watching TV. Never done it. Don't intend to do it. Why would I do it? It's
Hmm.
pointless. Or like I spend a lot of time making sure my pass is perfect for myself. Then when I'm out there, I'll probably just end up cutting the cards with misdirection because it's like there's the hobby side of it, and like you might maybe at a convention be like, "Oh, is the what you think of my pass or what you think of my thing?" But at the end of the day, when I go out to perform, I'll probably just double undercut because it's like, why take the risk of getting caught when you can do something in the open? Those are the things I think come out as well. Um, so it is like there are two different genres, but I think sometimes people get a bit obsessed with it has to be a magician fool or it's no good. I've got the opposite thing with myself when I perform. Like the first person I show tricks to would be family, and very little fools my mom. Like she figures out most things. So for me, I don't go, oh, she figured it out, I won't perform it. It's like if it fools her, I know it's a closer. It's like everything else is still in my set, but it's like if it fools her, I know like, oh, this is one of my really good ones. I'll go for
Yeah.
it. So it's similar sort of stuff with people who've other magic knowledge.
Yeah, no, it's again, for me, it's What is your goal? What is your aim? If this thing that laymen absolutely love happens to be a magician fooler, like you said, that's kind of the cherry on top. Or if you're performing for the general public, find whatever's strongest for them. That's going to get the best reactions. And if you're performing for magicians, find whatever's strongest for them. That's going to get the best reactions, whether it be you fooling them or them just being super impressed because they know how much skill went into the thing that you were doing. So that's what I think. But you guys let us know what you think in the comment section below. Tell us, what is the last trick that you learned that you feel is a good for both situations? It's a good magician fooler and it plays well for the layman. And whether or not you think it even matters if it fools magicians or not. We'd love to know.
Absolutely. And how many of them are ACANs? We'll see how that goes. So that's the first topic we have discussed. I think we went through that pretty thoroughly. So the next one we got is something that I think every one of us has seen on a Magic forum or Facebook group at some point, which is, I got a gig, what should I perform? And we were just going to talk about this discussion. It's not like super relevant. It's just something that we see coming up a lot and we thought we'd be interested in covering it. So do you want to go first on this one, Michael?
I think it's become a meme at this point. Like
Yeah.
I've seen magicians mostly in the Facebook forums, right? I've seen magicians post that on purpose just to get a rise out of people because they think it's funny. Like, hey, I booked a gig. It's at 4 o'clock in the evening tonight. What do I do? And it's like, obviously that's a bit of an exaggeration. But there are a lot of times often that someone has said, hey, I took this gig, but I'm not prepared for it. And now I'm stressed out because I don't know what to do. Can you guys help me? Um, there's two sides of the coin for this one, and I can kind of see the argument from both sides. So I'll just tell you what the two arguments are, Dave, and you can tell me what you think. But the one side of it is you should take the gig if you think that you're able to prepare for it because you don't want to leave that money on the table, right? That's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is it's not professional to do that because what if you take the gig and then you cannot deliver on it, or you try to deliver on it and it just doesn't work? It's gonna look really bad on you, right? So, like for example, let's just say I've never done an illusion before. I'm not an illusionist. I've never done escapes. I've never sawed anyone in half. I've never done a zigzag box. I don't own any of those things, right? And someone is like, hey, we need an illusion show. Are you an illusionist? We have a $3,000 budget. We want an illusionist. And you're just like, gee golly, gee whiz, that sounds really cool. I want $3,000. Let me go ahead and book this illusion show. And then I'm like, hey everyone, I just took a gig for an illusion show. It's in a month or two, and I don't know how to do any illusions. Can you guys help me out with the easiest illusions to learn that are the most impressive, please and thank you? And it's like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, you don't know how to do this. Why would you take that gig, right? So again, I can see the want to take the gig because you don't want to lose the gig. But for me, it's a short term gain. Like, yeah, I booked the gig, but if I do the gig and it doesn't go right because I'm not rehearsed, you can tell that, I'm not really quite sure what I'm doing. I'm not comfortable with it. I'm not snappy with the responses and all of that because I'm trying to remember, okay, now what do I do? Oh, yeah, I got to do this. Like, you can just tell, and it makes the performance suffer. And so now that client is going to be like, I don't know if I want him back. That show wasn't very good. And it's for that reason that I never test new material at a paid gig. New
Yes.
material is for hanging out with family and friends, or if I'm doing something for charity or practice at my restaurant, right? Like any of those, that's when you test your new material. You don't go in cold to a paid gig and try to test new material. But that's just my thoughts on it. David, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to what you covered. And like, there's two types that I really see. One is someone who is a magician who has gigged but is being asked to do something else, like they're a close-up magician being asked to do stage, or as you were saying, someone who's asked to do an illusion show who never does it, or maybe even hypnosis or something, and they're not experienced with it. And the other one then is, this is my first gig ever, and I need to do close-up magic. So I think like for the one where you are a performer and you're being asked to do something that you haven't done before, that's where I think sometimes it's actually, it can come across really well to say you don't do it, because showing that you specialize in close-up magic or you specialize in stage magic and don't do close-up magic, that actually elevates you in the client's eyes in a way that you're a specialist in that area. And then, as you were saying, it's that situation you don't want to show up and let them down, because there's something magicians have that other entertainers don't get, We get grouped, and it's like nobody says if you hear a bad singer at an event, I don't like music, but they will say they don't like magic if they see the bad magician, because you hear music on the radio all the time, you see movies all the time. So if you see a bad one, you have seen other good ones. But this might be the only magician someone's ever seen, and they don't think he's a bad magician. They think bad magic is bad. So I think we have to have that, because we're so niche. We have to keep that in mind. So
Mhm.
when you're working on that, I think for someone who's transitioning, if you're transitioning with close up stage, there's loads of open mic nights in every city in the world, probably. Go there, try stuff out. Just get used to being on stage. Stage is different. It's not you. If the amount of times I've seen people go on stage and they're doing like ambitious card routine, you're just like, what? Like, stop. Nobody can see what's going on unless you've got a camera projecting it. So you really have to focus on that. So I think, yeah, if you don't do stage and you've never done stage, you can't get it going. Like, your plan shouldn't be, I'm going to ask other magicians online what tricks I should do. Forget the tricks. You just need to get used to standing on stage. That's the biggest thing. The tricks, who cares? It's how entertaining are you on stage. That's what people care about. And then if it's your first gig ever, if you've been asked to do it, they've probably seen you perform casually. Do that. Like, if you're out at a party and someone is like, oh, John there does a few tricks, and you're doing a few tricks, and they're like, oh, it's my grandmother's 80th, will you come perform? And you're like, yeah, sure, 100%. And then you're like, oh crap, what'll I do? Do what you did to that person, because that was good enough for them to want you at the thing. Don't go, well, now I need a whole new set. I like, for a trick to get into my set is impossible. I rarely, like, I always try to add new things, but for every like 20 tricks I learn, maybe one will get in. So you're not going to change, like, come up with a whole new set. Like, do what took you to the dance. Basically, is the situation. And if you don't think what your current set is good enough, then don't do the gig, because you can't learn tricks that quick. Get them road tested and ready to go.
Mhm.
You need to be polished, and also when it's your first gig, you're going to be nervous. You want to be able to do stuff you can do on autopilot. You don't want to ever think about a move. That's, as I was saying in the last one, where I'll do a double undercut instead of doing a pass or a diagonal palm shift or whatever. I just do under control, because I don't have to think. I don't have to go, oh, where are my angles here? I want to do stuff I can do on autopilot. And that's how you keep people entertained and get a good reputation. So I think it is a sort of situation that everyone has their first gig and it's nervous. And you might panic and go, what should I do? I think a better question that I think, like, we other people would appreciate is going like, I have a gig, my first gig on Tuesday. These are the tricks I know. This is the set I'm thinking of doing. Does anyone think that the order of this build is right? Because something like
Mhm.
that, magicians and the groups would be probably much more like there's always going to be the few assholes, but like most people would be like, if you were like, oh, I'm going to do an ambitious or and card at any number, then I'm going to do wave, and then I'm going to end with appearing bottle or something. And it's like, you might want to bring the bottom do the appearing bottle at the beginning, because that really gets people's attention, and then you might want to go into something with wave because it's not as involved, and then you end with something that's really involved and really long. So like, you can talk through that stuff, but just going, tell me tricks. It's just so starter point.
Yeah, that brings up an interesting point too. A common response to the question of what should I do, most of the responses are, we don't know. We don't know what your performance
Yeah.
style's like. We don't know what you already know. We don't know what you don't know. We don't know what you're good at. So I think that's a really good point too. So if you are finding yourself in this position where you're on the side where you're like, oh crap, I have a gig and I don't know what to do, and you do need help, it would probably be a good idea if you have some kind of set idea already prepared and you ask for feedback on that set, rather than just being like, what should I do? Because I've seen people respond like, just go to penguinmagic.com and just type in top 10 tricks and just buy one of those. Right?
Yeah.
Like, if we don't know any better, like what your act is about or anything like that, I mean, it kind of doesn't really matter what you're going to do. Oh, repo is the thing everyone's talking about. Just do that. But like, you're like, bro, it's a stage show though. Like, how am I supposed to perform repo on stage? And you're just like, well, you didn't say it was a stage show. You said you had your first gig coming up. Right. So it's like, you have to take all of these things into account.
Yeah.
What am I gonna, like, what's the venue like? How many people are going to be there? Are they surrounding me? Is it a theater situation where they're all sat and you're up on a stage? Are you elevated on a stage, or is it more like everyone's level and you're just like kind of at the front of the room? There's a lot of things that sort of go into this.
Drinks reception or table hopping as well is massively different because you don't have
Yeah.
a table. Even at table hopping, you actually have less of a table, I find, at table hopping than you do at a drinks reception
Oh
because the
yeah.
table is full of the table hopping. So I know a lot of people go, table hopping, I have a table. Like, you're more than likely
No.
to have like a
Yeah.
little round table at a drinks reception to use than you do at a table
Yeah.
hopping.
Yeah, even for that, I tell people like if you're gonna like for me, I perform at a restaurant. I will never perform on the table. I might set something down. I might set the card case down. I might put props down. I might, like if I'm doing coins to glass, I toss the coin, it falls into the glass, and I dump the coins on the table or something. But I'll never like you're not gonna see me doing like a coin matrix or like a triumph or something on the table because yeah, you don't have that space. So the moral of the whole thing, at least in my opinion, is if you're going to accept a gig, and I do like David that you broke them into two categories. Your first gig, I think there's a lot more leeway on it because you need the practice, and it might even be beneficial for you to tell the person booking you like, "This is my first gig. This is
Mhm.
going to very much be a practice run for me," right? If you're going into your first gig, I think it's totally acceptable to not really know what you're doing and to do your best. But if you're a worker that's been doing this for years and you're like, hey, I got booked for this thing that's outside of my wheelhouse, but I want to give it a go. So you guys give me advice on what I should do. I think that there's more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? You have more of a responsibility, I think, to your client and to yourself, because ultimately, for me, my biggest fear is not, oh man, I could have booked that gig, but I didn't. My biggest fear is I don't want my 5-star rating to be impacted by them leaving a 2-star review. He showed up, he was terrible, not a single trick went right. He did this, he did that, and he was rude and he didn't know what he was doing half the time. Like that's my biggest fear. Not that the gig I had to give the gig to someone else. Give that $3,000 gig to someone that knows what they're doing and charge them a 10% commission and make your $200 or whatever to just stay home. And now you think, oh, I want to start booking those gigs. What can I do to start booking those gigs and get my act set so that when another one of those comes along, I feel confident and I can take it, right? I never really did mentalism. I mean, I could perform a couple of mentalism, mental magic effects, but
How
anytime
dare you?
someone would, what's that?
How dare you not be a
I,
mentalist?
I know, right? Um, and I would have people reach out to me like, "Hey, we want to book a mentalist," and I would just take the gig as a magician on stage. And I realized like, oh, I should probably actually put a proper mentalism show together because people are catching on that, oh, he did magic, he didn't really do mentalism, he did a couple of mind reading tricks, but that's it. So now I have a proper mentalism show so that when someone wants to book a mentalist, I know I'm prepared. I can actually do a stage mentalism show and bill it as such and not let my clients down. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about keeping your reputation because one hits your reputation. Like one bad review, it's everyone else is going to get the gigs in front of you. You gotta keep up with the standards. You gotta have people want to get your back. So yeah, absolutely. So I think that covers what we have to talk about there. So we'll move on to the last topic. With the time of the year, it's Black Friday deals. Everyone's bank accounts are being emptied right now. I know I bought myself. I'll buy this for myself as my Christmas present. I did that about 4 times, so it's gonna be a good Christmas for me. Um, we have some Black Friday deals, so we're just going to go through a few of them that we've seen, and maybe one of us might have. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So I might start off with one of the ones that I definitely was the first one I picked up. It's actually on the 1914. So they've got a really good bundle that's out at the moment. So they've got a couple new releases. They have a new book out. That's there. I'll get the name of the book really quickly. But they also have the Eclipse ESP cards, which are the only marked cards I can see without my glasses. Um, so they have them, but they're now in black. So they used to be white with a black design on them. They're now black with a white design on them, which I think look like really good. Like they really just jump out. I think that's an image of them there, which
Oh, there you
like
go.
I think sometimes white and black you can see from a further distance. And they've also got a parlor size version of these cards as well. And they have a new book called This is Absolutely Real. So it's a new mentalism book that's out as well. And there's a bundle that they have, which is you get a normal Eclipse deck, a black Eclipse deck, a jumbo Eclipse deck or powder size, and the book. And I think it's £99. I'm seeing the euro price, which is a bit more when you translate it over. But that's going on until December 2nd. So that's a pretty good deal. And now Vanishing Ink aren't having a Black Friday deal; they're having an extravaganza. So that's up a level. And this thing you can sign up for is 99-cent downloads. I think every day they have a different download that's 99 cents that you can sign up to and get emails for. And they have discounts across the site and a few new tricks that came out actually. And there is one by Angelo Carbone, his Rising card. Have you seen the trailer for this? It looks crazy.
No.
Any named card. You're holding the deck. Speaking of invisible deck earlier, you hold your deck. Spectator names any card, and that card rises out of the deck. No force, no equivocate, any card. So that is, I've got it here. That is called Notion of Motion. So that's just got released. So that looks really cool. There's got great quotes from people like Teller and stuff like that on it. So they've got a new release, and then they have Poker Packet Trick, which I haven't seen yet. So I'm just on their website. So that's a big one, and then Penguin always goes big for Black Friday as well. So they'll
have like 90% off deals and all this. It's crazy.
You order one thing and your cart's full. Like I did a bit of an order on there, and I got like ties. I got a 52-to-1 card. I got some other downloads and stuff, which is really cool. So they have that 5 for 99 back. It's mainly Penguin Lives. Like it was. There used to be quite a lot of selection of stuff on that deal. It's been restricted now to a lot of just the Penguin Lives, but there's some really good ones on there if people don't have them. With that, and they have 11 new releases. So I'll just go through some of the highlights of that. There's a Razor character wallet, which is a really slimline character wallet.
Mm-hmm.
There's Cheater Chips by Craic, which there's a Mentalism and Magic poker chip set. Vanishing Card Case by Nicholas Lawrence, Heroes and Villains cards by Craic, Missing Finger, which looks great, by Mario Lopez. Have you seen the Missing Finger?
Which
Mario
one is
Lopez?
that one?
Where you take out the middle bit of your finger. So you show this thing, and then you just take out the middle bit of your finger.
Oh, that sounds cool.
That looks really cool. There's an Easy Writer, which is a new sort of boon writer that they've got out as well. And they've the Alexander poster is a jigsaw. It's not a trick, but it's there. So yeah, they're the main headlines there. So there's quite a lot of stuff there. And then like there's thousands of free gifts. All the Tarbell lessons are 50% off as well. They have the Choose 5, and then they have 1,000 tricks at 50% off. So lots of things. It's a mixture of lots of things for people to pick up, and also a chance for magic shops to empty their warehouses of the stock that wasn't selling.
That's true. Yeah, like they'll have like their clearance sale, and I know there's a lot of people that they will wait year round, and they will just load up their cart full of stuff. They'll drop like $1,000 on Magic, but they're saving like thousands of dollars. They'll get like $5,000 worth of Magic for like $800 or something like that. So yeah, take advantage of these deals for sure. Look around, see what things you like. I know a lot of Magic companies stretch out their deals too. So if you're like trying to get some last minute Christmas shopping, you're thinking of a gift, if you're a magician friend of yours or something like that, there's loads of things that you can buy, stocking stuffers, little tricks you can get, and even just like not necessarily new releases, but just like you mentioned, like you got like a 52-to-1 card or whatever, it's
I
like,
got the ties, which are like you always need some loops or ties, like they're just an essential to have lying around. So to get like a pack of 10 for free, you might as well.
Yeah, just like backup stuff that you need. Bricks of decks of cards. I don't know. I haven't looked. Did you look at any of the Theory 11 if they're doing any deals or anything like that? I'm sure they are. They're probably
have something.
I know that they often do a brick deal. So if you buy it's like a half brick is 6, full brick is 12 packs of cards, you get some kind of discount. But I'm sure that they're probably doing some sort of extra Black Friday discount on top of that.
Yeah, I don't see anything like massively on their website. They have a 10% off your order when I just load it up. But I don't see any like banner or something of Black Friday, but it might still be coming out because we're going this early for people who aren't there. But then like even if you got like a brick of cards from Penguin, like I use their Penguin Mark deck, that's the only deck I use. If I bought them now, I'd get a load of free, like I'd get ties with them. I'd get stuff because of the price of getting a brick or two. So yeah, it's like it's a great time if there's those things that you just want to stock up on. It's a great time because you just get free stuff with every order, so it can be quite good. And is O'Brien Magic doing any sort of Black Friday
So
discounts?
interesting that you asked, David. So yes, I am, and this is exclusively to everyone that has joined my email list. So if you're not already on my email list, please get on it because I'm only going to be announcing these deals through that. So that's o'brienmagic.com/sign up. There's a link too on my website, brianmagic.com, and I'll probably drop a link right below this video too, so you can click on that. But yeah, so I'm doing 20% off store wide, all physical products on Black Friday, only on the day. So make sure that you grab the deals on that day. I'm not doing like a whole weekend thing. On Friday for 24 hours, the Black Friday deal is going to be active. On Saturday, I'm doing a live webinar at 11 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys want to join me for that, I'm going to be discussing my zero to your first paid gig. So for those of you that were
That works.
following this whole discussion that we were doing earlier about, oh, what do I do? We're going to talk about that in that webinar. On Sunday, I'm giving out some free gifts to my with my monthly newsletter. So again, make sure that you're joined for that. And then for Cyber Monday, I'm doing a 50% off store-wide sale on all digital products on my stuff. So if you guys were thinking about picking up Final Destination or Toxic List or any of that stuff, all of that stuff is going to be labeled at 50% off. I have a couple little bundle deals going on and all that too. So o'brienmagic.com/sign up if you
Just
guys
sign
want to
up.
get those deals. There you went. Look at that.
Just got in
So
there quick.
yeah, so that's what I got going on for the weekend.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to hire elite Irish magicians for your event, there's currently 20% off Black Friday.
There you go.
Yeah, this is definitely the target audience to advertise magical performance stuff.
Hey, you know what? Funny that you mentioned that. I've been booked by magicians. I actually had a magician friend of mine book me for his wedding. So you never
That
know.
works.
It could happen.
You get it going. But yeah, so I think like there's definitely some really big deals out there at the moment. Like that stuff's great, and the Cyber Monday stuff is really cool as well, just to keep the digital side of it going. So I think it's people are gonna be spending a lot, but getting a lot of good quality for what they have. Because I know I bought I bought the 1914 bundle because I buy everything that comes out of there, and I got some of the new Swami Boon Writery thing as well from Penguin. So it'll be we'll see how many of the things make it into my set now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing too. You're gonna, I do every year. I get a bunch of magic for free. You know what this magic is? This is my bottom drawer magic
yeah.
thing. I just open that drawer and there's loads of things in there I didn't even know I had, and I just open them. I can start playing with them too.
I have so much stuff. Like my house is starting to overflow with magic. I had a magic like my office was my magic area, but now it's also the guest room, and now also the dining table. And now also, and I'm like, I need to actually start going through some of my stuff and like because it's like yeah, I know I don't want this right now, but you never know. I could get a call, and this would be the perfect thing for that situation. So I can never throw it out. But I remember going through some stuff recently, and this is a great tip as well for people who maybe don't have like the finances or just right now don't want to go buying new magic. I started going through stuff that I bought like 5 6 years ago that maybe I didn't like or they might have required a move. Like in the last 6 years, I got good at the second deal. So like 6 years ago, I wouldn't if there was something had a second deal in it, I'd be like skip. But now as I going back over that stuff, you're actually going, oh, there's some really good stuff that I've been like skipping over, or I threw into my bottom drawer because the skill level might have been different, or just my interest might have changed as well. So it's definitely worth looking through your old stuff.
Definitely.
So well, I think that's all the advice we have for this, and that's what basically what's the crack. You've got your Christmas tree up, I don't yet, so we'll have
Oh,
to.
we've had it up for the day after Halloween. This thing went up.
At least you waited until after Halloween. That's good.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us this month for What's the Crack. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to O'Brien Magic on YouTube. Subscribe to Deceive Reality Podcast on YouTube. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
See you next one. Christmas special next time. See you then.